Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me?
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kayla, and if you're not new, thanks for coming back. Always happy to have you. Today I am super excited to bring you another seasonal TBR. I did one of these videos last year. I gave my autumnal fall cozy reading TBR, and today I am bringing you my spring reading list. I tend to do these in seasons because I can't set a monthly TBR. If I set a list of books, I'm gonna get discouraged if I don't meet that number. And half the time I make a list and in a month I don't wanna read that book anymore. So I tend to do this seasonally. I'm also a seasonal reader in the sense that if a book takes place during winter, I cannot read it during the summer. It just doesn't connect to my brain. The consistency's not there. It's just not gonna make sense, and I'm not gonna enjoy it as much. I tend, when a character or an author has created a seasonal setting, that I experience the book and whatever the character is going through a lot better if I'm experiencing the same season, if that makes sense. And I think certain books just have like a seasonal vibe. So I have a TBR. Disclaimer, not going to be reading all of these. Like, literally will not get through all of these. That's fine with me though. These are just books that I like to pull out, so throughout the season when I'm reading or needing a new book, I have a frame of reference of books that would fit really well in this season. Not everything on this list is a seasonal read. Most of them are, but not everything. Some things I just feel like I'm getting ready to read. Like, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, okay, it's time to get this one off your TBR. So I will link the autumnal one down below, but if there are any books that you are really interested in reading in the springtime, or that you read like every year in the spring, or you think have a really good spring vibe, leave them in the comments. The pile can always be growing. Go grab yourself a cup of coffee. I got a nice springtime mug, even though I'm dressed very much for winter. It is 19 degrees in Boston today. Go grab yourself a coffee, a cup of tea, and I'll meet you back here to talk some springtime books. Okay, I have them turned so you can't see the spines, but I need to know who's what. All right, I'm gonna actually start at the bottom of the pile with two were the first things I thought of when I was thinking about my spring TBR. These were the first titles that jumped out to me. A lot of times when I think of springtime, like the cottagecore vibe, like Regency, Victorian era comes out in my brain. Like, those are the things, the themes that stick out to me. So I tried to pull some books from this list that fit those kind of genres, categories for me. So a lot of times during the springtime I read historical Regency romance. So the first one, I actually bought this in January. I've been looking at it for a while though, and it actually was very hard to find, but it's, I think, a very popular book. But it's The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holton. This book, like this cover, is just so spring. Honestly don't know what it's about. I just know that it's like a Regency Victorian romance. There's like a Victorian lady holding a smoking gun, but Cecilia Bassingthwaite is an ideal Victorian lady. She's also a thief. She has like a gang of criminal women, which is fun. And it says she flies around England drinking tea, blackmailing friends, and acquiring treasure by interesting means. And then there's an assassin that is smitten with her. Sounds so fun. Not your typical Victorian romance, not just tea parties and blah blah blah, but we got some crime in here too. So I'm really excited to read this one. It's supposed to be really like witty and funny and cute, and I think it's just gonna be a perfect like welcoming in spring read. Next on my list is in the same vein of like a Victorian Regency romance, and that is the second Bridgerton book, The Viscount Who Loved Me. This is also on this list because the second season of Bridgerton comes out in March, and I'm trying to read it before the season comes out because I'm pretty sure the Netflix seasons follow the books. Like, each season focuses on a different Bridgerton. This one's about Anthony. I did not like the first Bridgerton book very much. I actually did a whole video reviewing this series, and the book, which I'll leave linked down below. Did not love the book, actually liked the TV series a lot better, but people have told me that the second book is more redeeming, like it is better than the first one. So we have The Viscount Who Loved Me, Bridgerton #2 by Julia Quinn. The next thing that I kind of think of along the veins of like Regency, Victorian era, cottagecore vibes is classics, like classic novels. And I have not read classics since I was in probably college. I'm sure I read some in college, but high school is like the last time I can remember really reading and taking in a classic novel, like a Victorian novel. So one of my overarching reading goals for 2022 was to read more classic literature. I think there's just something so like empowering, and that makes you feel so proud to be like, you read this really complicated work of literature from a previous time period. What I'm meaning to say is really good classics are on my list, and I really think of them in springtime because so many of them take place in the Victorian, Edwardian, Regency period that it just makes sense in my brain. So like I said, spoiler alert, the first one is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I started trying to read this, and I believe when I found this copy of the book, my bookmark was on page 1. This is my edition. This is the Nathan Burton design, the Almanac Classics version of Pride and Prejudice. I actually got this in England when I visited Jane Austen's hometown. I got this and I got Emma because I wanted like a classic Victorian novel that had like a special edition just for nostalgic purposes, I guess. And like I think I really love the 2005 movie of Pride and Prejudice, and like everybody talks about the book and I see a lot of quotes, but I never actually read Pride and Prejudice. Some other classics I have, I don't know why this always reminds me of the springtime, but The Hobbit. I think of the Shire being like really green and bright and like new and refreshing like spring is. So I always think of The Hobbit around springtime. I also think that The Hobbit is very like cottagecore-y. Like I said, that's like one of the things I think of and I associate with springtime. So I really want to read The Hobbit. I had to read The Hobbit for my study abroad class at Oxford. Did not finish it. I got to page 44. I don't love Tolkien's writing, and I know that Lord of the Rings is a lot more complicated than The Hobbit, but it was just a lot of work for me to try and get in when I could have just been exploring England, which is what I did instead. But I did just find this really nice wooden bookmark from Ink and Wonder. Summer Was a Book of Hope from Benjamin O'Leary Sainz. So I'm gonna leave that in there and I'll have that when I go to read The Hobbit. And the last one, this one's really long, so I'm not sure. It is a kid's book technically, and the print is very big, so I don't think it'll be that bad, but I want to read Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I've heard so many things, and I know a lot of people associate this book with fall and winter too, but I think it being the classic, this cover just gives me all of the spring like refreshing vibe. I think the colors and the flowers really do that for me. I really liked the movie. I think it came out in like 2015, 2016 with Emma Watson. And I really want to read it. Like I really want to read the original story. And I don't think that this language is as complicated. I think I'm still coming out of my like 2-year reading slump, very intimidated by the length of books. This is almost 800 pages long, and I cannot tell you the last time I read a book that was 800 pages long, nor can I tell you the last time I did it in a reasonable amount of time. The next, these are not really seasonal. These have just been like on my TBR for a while, and I feel like I'm ready and in the moment to read them, and I'm ready to rock and roll. So we're gonna dive in. These are no longer like spring themed, spring seasonal reads. These are just books and releases that I've been really excited about and really waiting to read. Okay, first things first, I have A Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This book is so pretty. I love this cover. I don't know why. Just like the shimmer, the color palette is so pretty. This is a fantasy. It talks about like alchemists and grimoires and like a library of grimoires, which is a very cool concept to me. This one I am just, I think, ready to read. I looked at it on my pile and I was like, I want to read that. I also just recently bought this. I only bought this in January, so it's newer, but I've been like waiting to read it. It is a standalone. I've been reading a ton of standalones lately because I just don't have the mental fortitude and focus to read a series. So I'm really appreciating having a standalone on my TBR this month. I really liked Enchantment of Ravens. I don't think I actually ever finished Enchantment of Ravens, but I really enjoyed the story. So I don't really know how that happened, but I'm excited to go back into a Margaret Rogerson world. She does a really great job building magic systems and worlds and characters. This book is a pride thing, this next one. I have attempted to start and read this book like 5 times, at least 5 times. And I know I'm going to like it. I know I am. I don't know why I just can't put my brain to the page and read the book and get through it. I think I've also always tried to use this book to end a reading slump, and then I've kind of harbored a little bit of resentment for it. But we have Rick Riordan's Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. This is the first one, The Sword of Summer. I have tried to read this literally 5 times, and everybody talks about how good it is. I love Norse mythology. I loved Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology. I love those tales and those legends, and I just don't know why I can't do it. It also takes place in Boston. Like, I know the places that Magnus is talking about. I don't know, like, you can even see, like, I used the dust jacket as a bookmark. Like, I read just that little skinny bit, not this whole big part, but this little bit. I've started this before, so I don't know if I will commit to reading the whole series. Like I said, don't really have the mental fortitude right now to read entire series, but I do want to read at least the first one. This next one, I want to read so badly, like so badly. I want to be back in this world. I want to read this story, but I am not ready for this series to end. Like, I genuinely, legitimately get upset thinking about this series ending. I have the last book in the Camelot Rising series, which is the Excalibur Curse. She's so pretty. This whole color palette also is giving me very much spring vibes. I associate Camelot and Arthurian legend also with spring. I think it's because it's all like reborn and refreshed and green and good, and you know, I'm not ready for it to be over. I'm truly not. This series is probably one of the best series I've ever read. If you have not read The Guinevere Deception, which I've reviewed, if you've not read The Camelot Betrayal, which I have also reviewed, you need to stop whatever you're doing. Go purchase both of them, preferably from an indie bookstore, and just spend your Sunday reading them. Like, that is what you need to be doing. This book series is so good. It's a retelling of the classic Arthurian legend, where Guinevere is not who she says she is. The problem with this being on my TBR, besides the fact that I'm gonna sob buckets when this series ends, this just came out in November, I need to read the other 2 in order to be able to read this. Like, so much happened in the first 2 books. They were so well done. They were so well written, so thoroughly thought out, and like so much happens that for me to fully appreciate this, I need to read them all in order. As I've already mentioned, really struggling with the focus to read a whole series, and also time-wise, that's a lot of pages, but it would be so worth it, and I really don't want to rush that reading experience, if that makes sense. So I'd probably hold off on this one until like later in spring, summertime, because I want to give myself the time, the space, and the patience to just enjoy this whole reading experience, meeting Guinevere again and going all the way and seeing where all of the characters end up. We are at the last book in this TBR list, but my camera battery is flashing, so I'm going to change that really quick, and then we will jump into the final book. I've also noticed while I was pulling this TBR together that I've kind of been reading in cycles. Like, I think about the books that I read in early spring last year, and a lot of them are similar or like this in the same series as the ones that I read this time last year. So one of those that I read that I actually filmed a review but never posted, and if you still want to see it, I'm happy to edit it and post it, was the Unbirthday Twisted Tales retelling of Alice in Wonderland. I have another retelling, another Twisted Tales that I am super excited to read. I actually think I have, let's see, I have Cinderella, I have Snow White, I have Peter Pan, I have Hercules, I have this one, and I'm pretty sure I have another one that I haven't read yet. I'm really behind on Twisted Tales, and I kind of want to get back into reading them and reviewing them because I really love these books and these concepts, but I am so excited for the one that I have on this list because it feels like the movie for me is like quintessential spring summer. So beautiful, so refreshing. It's also just one of my favorite Disney princess movies. It doesn't top Beauty and the Beast, but it's up there. And that is What Once Was Mine, What If Rapunzel's Mother Drank a Potion from the Wrong Flower by Liz Braswell. This cover is so pretty. This one's a bit longer for A Twisted Tale. It's about 475 pages, but I love Tangled. I love the movie, and Liz, the Twisted Tales by Liz, I think are a little bit better than the ones by other authors. I think she does such a good job creating unique concepts and really fleshing out the world of the Disney movies we already know. And I say that in like every Twisted Tales review, but I'm really excited about this one, and I'm excited to see what she does with this movie. So feels like spring to me. I love Tangled, love Rapunzel, and this is the last book of my spring TBR. I do find that creating lists like this are very helpful for me. Last fall, I never posted an update of what I read, but I read a lot of books from that TBR. Actually, let me check my Goodreads and see how many of them I read. Also, it's February right now, and I'm 3 books ahead of schedule for my yearly goal, so cheers to me. I think I read 7 books off of that TBR, which for me and how I've been reading the past couple years is unheard of. So I'm really excited about this spring TBR. Now that I've actually like talked about all of them and reminded myself of what they're about, I just want to read them all now. So I will for sure be reading these, maybe some reviews. If there are any books that you saw on this list that you want me to do a review for, leave it in the comments. If you have any other books, like I said at the beginning, that you always associate with spring or you think would be a good springtime read, or just you read every spring, leave me a comment down below. I want to grow the TBR. I want to see what you guys are reading this season. Let's go read some good books. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found a good book that you want to read. I hope you found something you want to hear the review for, all that good stuff. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and think about sticking around. I have a lot of good book content coming up. I'm really excited to be getting back into bookish content, booktube content, so get ready for all of that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!
Would you stay till the